Sign.
All right. So we've got one question here. Team Burton, how do you get retailers and their staff on board? We all know that staff aren't loyal anymore.
I think having it from an incentive perspective is quite easy. And again, it's something we've done for a long time. So the process of incentives has always been present. We talked about the simplicity of communication, being able to talk directly to their staff. That was a good selling point for retailers, managers, that, hey, we're able to communicate this directly with your staff. The ENDVR team itself helped us a lot, providing tools, scan codes, whatever we needed. We do, as a brand, still do in-person clinics to kick off the season in most cases. So we've been able to say, for follow-ups, here is a code, something we've also emailed. So it's been a tool that's easy to point to once, even if you've done initial steps to train or incentivize, because it's an app, we revisit it as well. I think also, follow-up is important at the very beginning. We're lucky that we're now in a place where more brands are using it. So particularly in our space. So really the sales associates are already driven to go to the platform to see training and incentives. But I'd say there may be some follow-up required, but knowing everything is digital, that is quite an easy process.
Yeah, and I mean, I was going to say the same thing. Like, ENDVR has provided us so many tools to just make it as easy as possible. Like, literally spinning up like flyers to send out with QR codes, so that all somebody has to do is scan it and boom, they're in. And I don't think it's really like rocket science that if you make entrance to something a little bit easier, people tend to be a little bit less resistant to engage, right?
And, just both you guys are spot on. We definitely have toolkits that we provide all of our brand partners as they come on with all these physical and digital assets to get out there and spread the word and have our own initiatives as well. And just, to call out quickly from the retailer side, I can't say how often we've heard over the past few years about the positive, or from retailers, about the positive impact the platform has had on allowing them to find and keep the great employees, because they're getting access to these incredible rewards, getting access to these incredible learning opportunities that are being, for lack of a better word, sponsored by the brands and kind of powered by their brand partners. So, the retailers are overwhelmingly embracing it. They're helping drive adoption with their employees because of the incredible benefits that it offers that we saw in some of the stats shared earlier.
And so even for us, fairly early in the journey, now we start to hear more from the staff talking to the brands about ENDVR. So that's a good sign. We are no longer the ones that are communicating back to us, in a sense. So,
I love that.
So our next question is, are your sales reps involved in any way with ENDVR?
Absolutely. I think both from an education and an incentive. As I said, from an incentive standpoint, we've encouraged them to utilize the app. They can all launch their own targeted campaigns, which we'll go into the next question. So I'll stop there and go more deeply into that on the next one. But yes, they are deeply involved. We've also we've involved them into the review of entries as well. It's helpful to see what's on receipt. You are getting direct sell-through data through the app. That is quite the luxury.
And Nathan, you called it up before, but just like, this is where someone who was a rep for so many years, just thinking about how, again, kind of built that, built it for someone like me, I suppose. But getting access to that type of data, being able to see what sales are happening in which stores, so where there are opportunities to chase a reorder, to pick up the phone and call the buyer and say, hey, see, you guys are crushing it. Like, can we put some more stock on the shelf? Like, that is the power of the data and the insight that comes through it. And the brands that really include their rep force in that process, like you guys are doing, absolutely get the most benefit.
And I would also add that anytime that we onboard a new brand with ENDVR, a massive part of that is, how are we going to educate the sales reps about ENDVR? because they are such massive stakeholders, right? They're the ones that are visiting stores and have that face-to-face interaction with retail staff. So we've got an entire sales rep training built specifically with them in mind. And it's something that we continuously do even after a brand starts to work with us. All right, so the next question is, how do you use the targeting of accounts and regions for incentives?
Well, the beautiful thing about ENDVR is there's multiple options. I'd say we use all of the techniques that are available thanks to the app. We launch broader incentive campaigns to stimulate sell-through for an entire season. We also launch more targeted ones that can stimulate sell-through for specific accounts and specific inventory as well. So at the end of the day, it really depends on what the goal is. But we've been driving top line demand just as much as sell-through on specific inventory as well.
Cool. And I would also add that, so we have the option for sales incentives to reward individual sales associates, but we also have an option to set up store versus store sales incentives as well, right? So maybe you have a retailer of yours that has 5 doors, and you want to target all 5 of their doors. And then the store that has the highest sales during your sales incentive gets a prize package for everybody in the store. That's an option as well, just to show you how targeted you can be. You can also target just one single store if you ever wanted to. So this question is for Dan. Do you build your layout or design for missions and education within ENDVR, or do you build outside in Photoshop or InDesign and then drop in your content?
Yeah, so the answer to this question is a big reason that we decided to go with ENDVR for learning missions, which is that you build everything within ENDVR, which for my specific situation is a plus because I have no Photoshop or design experience, but I'm able to go in there and produce those missions that we saw earlier. So that's kind of a huge win for me, is that we can make things very easily and at scale in ways that look nice without needing a ton of effort there. It's really as simple as just uploading videos, rearranging things, and then putting blocks of text and photos in between.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad that that's helpful.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I even like to recommend that people use screenshots, right? Like if your brand has a mobile-friendly site, why not just open it up on your phone, take some screenshots, and then you can load them in, because that content is then going to be also looked at on a mobile phone. So it's a really easy way, potentially, of getting some great content live. Oh, looks like we've got a couple more questions here. Any pain points currently with the app that you're working on?
Maybe I'll take that one, and maybe like I think all the time, and again, the snowboard is a great example of where we started and where we want to be. We're always trying to innovate. We're always trying to make the experience that much better for every single stakeholder, whether that is those on the brand side who are creating campaigns and making it easier for them to get them off the ground, providing more valuable data and insight once they do, and of course, making the experience as seamless as possible for those frontline employees. So I don't want to let any cats out of the bag here, but we are very excited about launching a fully revamped version to our mobile app that's going to be happening next month. And it's a real massive improvement for us. I think our app today is great. It's awesome, but really excited about just trying to make the experience that much better for every sales associate on the store floor.
Yes, super excited about our new version of the app. Next question is it your experience, or do you feel that there must be an app owner in each retail door to succeed with ENDVR? What's your experience, or any good tips?
It's a great question. I don't think we've seen barriers, even if there was or wasn't an app owner. it is important that the associates are signed up to their store. That's it. So it's simply important to make sure that somebody is communicating internally in case that nobody is signed up to the store. But otherwise, I don't, from the brand's perspective, we don't necessarily have barriers tied to if there is or isn't an account owner. And I know, Stephen, you shared some insight with us on the future of how that will work on the back end.
Yeah, and from my experience, anyway, there's what we love about our platform is that it creates a win-win-win for I guess 4 wins if we include reps, but brands, retailers, and associates. And on that retailer side, we love it when we have champions inside the retail stores. They're great for us and the brands. They really help drive adoption. They help drive that engagement. But it isn't necessary for sure. This is, even without the champion, is still going to create that all those benefits for those employees. So not necessary, but just even better when it's there.
Yeah, I think maybe the only thing is this: if your retailer base is brand new to Endeavor, the only step that they have to decide on, or the decision they have to make, is if they have multiple locations, will they set that up under one or multiple? How do they do that? So, but when we've ran into that, or somebody's reached out to us, we've been able to defer back to Steven's team, and solution was quick.
Yeah. And we're set up to work with, and we have great partnerships with some of the biggest sporting goods retailers in Canada and the US, and we're continuing to grow those. So definitely the system works from a retail perspective with small independent shops to some of the biggest out there.
Awesome. How are you getting your sales data from retailers? How do their systems talk to the Endeavor systems, and how fast is this data transfer?
Do I take that?
Yeah, I think you can take
jump in. All right. So, when I'll just get back there earlier in this conversation as we're talking about my first meeting with Nathan and kind of looking at, the piles of receipts and that got submitted for that sales incentive. And really, what we did initially was to say, okay, let's digitize that. Let's digitize the fact that everyone working in those stores has one of these in their pocket. And instead of asking them to, put those in an envelope and sit on them for a month and mail them in when it's done, just a simple ask of at the end of your day or end of your shift, snap a pic, say what product you sold, how much you sold it for, and click submit. And from the moment that happens, this data starts to populate the live reporting for the brand. So they're able to get this actionable insight about what products are selling at what stores, at what price, so they can help further support their retailers to sell even more. And it is evolving. We've gone from just requiring the associates to do it to allowing store managers to do, our store owners, depending on also the type of retailer it is, to do a mass upload of a sales report on whatever cadence makes sense for them. So it could be on a weekly or monthly cadence to get all of their sales data in. And we're in the process of actually building our first point of sale integrations. So this is going to be new for us in 2024. Timing still TBD, but looking at actually making it even that much more seamless for this data to get captured and submitted.
I think from a brand standpoint, important as you're setting up your missions, not only to think through what you think is mandatory information for a reward, or but really think through what data do you want to measure as well. So we as a brand integrate style level information that the staff can easily enter, which then in real time spits out sell-through data on what styles are we moving through this specific mission, which is very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay. It sounds like the sound is getting weird again. But I just wanted to say thank you to the audience for those fantastic questions. There are some really good takeaways, I think, from today. And yes, thanks for bearing with the weird sound. But appreciate everyone being here today.
Amazing. Thank you all, Team Burton, for joining us, and thank you everyone for chiming in and being a part of this conversation. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.